Well, good morning, everybody. This is Billy Trout with the Tennessee Department of Revenue's Taxpayer Education section in Taxpayer Services Division. I want to welcome you to today's webinar on specified digital products in Tennessee. With us today, we have several presenters, one of which is Katie Julian, who you'll see on your screen there. And we welcome her. She's going to be stepping you through the first part of the presentation. And then we have John Ricketts, who is a subject matter expert from our audit division at the Tennessee Department of Revenue as well. And he will be here as well. Hi, John. How are you doing? Good to see
Good,
you.
good.
All right. So a couple of things we want to talk about here as we get going is the stuff that is right on our screen right now. Audio settings. We have a number of people on the line with us today, and we find that everyone's computer is a little bit different. So do consult the technical information that you see here if you're encountering any problems in viewing us or hearing us audibly as well too. Even if you do have problems at some point, just know that we are recording this presentation right now, and we will have the presentation posted online either later today or tomorrow. Um, One thing that always comes up in our webinars are questions, and we're glad to take your questions. And you can use the feature that we have here available in our chat section if you would like to submit a question. But as you can probably imagine, we have tons and tons of people online with us today. We're not going to be able to address every question. So what we're going to ask you to do is to just get back with us, send us an email to revenue.support@tn.gov, or you can give us a call at the phone number indicated at the bottom of the slide on the screen right now, which is 615-253-0600. And we'll be glad to take your call or your email question and try to research that and get back to you, or give you a verbal answer in that way too. Now, one thing that we do want to make sure we point out as we get going today is that today's presentation is on specified digital products in Tennessee. This is not a comprehensive discussion about software and other things that are not defined as specified digital products in our state that are subject to a special tax rate. So we're going to limit this conversation today to just this subject, and want you to be patient with us about that because of the fact that if we were to talk about all issues relating to software, I'm afraid we'd be here all day because that's quite a deep subject today. So with that, let me introduce you once again to Katie Julian in our taxpayer education section. And Katie, if you will, take it away, and we'll go through our presentation on the specified digital products. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Billy. So, as Billy said, today's webinar and presentation is specifically, pun intended there, on specified digital products and sales tax implication of specified digital products. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to be discussing today, obviously the laws and rules surrounding specified digital products and sales tax, as well as some important definitions, some general sales tax definitions, and definitely definitions with regards to what is defined in our law as a specified digital product. Going to discuss some applications of the law and specific examples. Also talk a little bit about reporting requirements and how you would file sales tax on specified digital products on your sales tax return. And then we're going to take some questions from the participants that are here today, as Billy mentioned, throw those into the chat. One thing I will say is that when you put your question into the chat, you'll have a little drop down where you can choose to send it to all panelists. Please send it to all panelists just so that we can make sure that we all see it and can try to get to your question. All right, so just to highlight some sales tax basics here. So a business that has nexus in Tennessee, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute, collects and then remits sales tax for Basically, these four things: the selling, leasing, and renting of tangible personal property. We'll define that in a moment. Selling certain taxable services. We actually had a webinar last month on which services are taxable. You can reference that webinar on our website. Selling amusements, and then got this one kind of big and highlighted here: selling digital products that are specified by the law. So a few key definitions here. First, just to define tangible personal property for you, you'll hear us referring to that as TPP. It's a little easier to say, get less tongue-tied saying it that way. TPP is property that can be seen, weighed, measured, felt, or touched, or that is in any other manner perceptible to the senses. Services subject to sales tax. Again, we discussed that on last month's webinar. Services specifically enumerated by law include repair or installation of TPP, and that does include computer software, lodging services in rooms, short-term space rental for making sales, cleaning of TPP, parking and storing of motor vehicles, telecommunications services, ancillary telecommunications services, and enriching uranium materials. That last example there is pretty rare. And then defining specified digital products. It's electronically transferred digital audio visual works, digital audio works, or digital books.
Hey, Katie, can I offer one
Sorry.
observation there on that slide? Uh, One thing that we get a number of questions about from taxpayers is actually a pretty simple concept. And it's very simply that tangible personal property sold in the state of Tennessee is almost always subject to Tennessee sales and use tax. Now, the one thing that there are product exemptions. There are certain exemptions for certain specific kinds of property, but for the most part, tangible personal property is subject to sales tax. And as Katie mentioned, the services that are on here that are listed are the only services that are subject to sales tax in Tennessee. Just one quick thing, just because we get a number of questions about it, is that if you are conducting a service in conjunction with the sale of tangible personal property, then the entire charge is subject to sales tax. So didn't mean to interrupt necessarily, but I thought I would throw that out there because that touches a lot of people and probably would be a good thing to just kind of remember as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Right, for sure, Billy. And just another way to put that is a service that's necessary to complete the sale, as another way to look at that as well. So with digital specified products, really what's special about this is there's a flat rate, a flat local rate, obviously a flat state rate of 7%, but also a flat standard local rate of 2.5% instead of the local tax rate being what the local tax rate is. It's just a flat 2.5. Other products, TPP and services that are subject to sales tax are going to have that flat 7% state rate, but then whatever the local rate is. These specified digital products have a flat local rate. It's one of the main things that sets them apart. Excuse me. So what is taxable with a digital specified product? Taxable retail sales, leases, licensing, or use of specified digital products includes that are uh, sold with rights of permanent use, sold with rights of less than permanent use, sold with rights of use conditioned upon payment by the subscriber or purchaser, so subscriptions there, subscribed to, accessed, or received via digital code. And we are going to discuss each one of those scenarios a little more in depth as we go along here today. So electronic transfer, as we mentioned a few slides ago, it's digitally specified products that are electronically transferred. So we're going to talk about the definition of what does electronic transfer mean. Our law defines it as a method of transferring products obtained by the purchaser by means other than tangible storage media. For Tennessee sales tax purposes, electronic transfer or access is by purchasers and subscribers in Tennessee. The purchaser obtains the product by electronic means such as downloading, and that does include streaming and podcasting, or accessing the product through the internet. Podcasting is the electronic distribution of audio or video digital media files over the internet by syndicated automatic downloads to subscribers. Electronically transferred does not mean the product is transferred on a tangible storage media device such as a CD or DVD. Those are going to be subject to regular Tennessee sales tax. So it doesn't mean that if the product is delivered on a CD or DVD, it's not subject to sales tax. It's just not considered a digital specified product. Those have to be electronically transferred. So a note here, delivered electronically within the context of computer software taxation does not mean the same as electronically transferred. So we just to highlight that right there, delivered electronically means delivered to the purchaser by means other than tangible media. So a little bit here about sourcing, talked about Nexus. In the overview there, a sale of a specified digital product occurs in this state if, one, the purchaser receives the electronically transferred digital property at a Tennessee location of either the seller or purchaser, or the seller's business records or the address obtained from the purchaser during the sale indicates a Tennessee billing address. So now we're going to get into the definitions of each of those three definitions of what is a specified digital product. The first one we're going to talk about and discuss is digital audio visual works. So these are defined as a series of related images that, when shown in succession, impart an impression of motion together with any accompanying sounds, if any, that are transferred electronically. Some examples of this are going to include motion pictures, customized promotional video content, speeches, music videos, news programming, entertainment programs, and of course live events. A definition of digital audio works is works that result from the fixation of a series of musical, spoken, or other sounds that are, of course, transferred electronically. Examples of pre-recorded or live digital audio works can include music, songs, speeches, readings, sound recordings, and ringtones. So digital books defined here, digital books are works that are generally recognized in the ordinary and usual sense as books that are transferred electronically, including fiction, nonfiction, and short stories. So now we're going to talk about a few digital products that are not considered specified digital products by law, but that are electronically transferred, such as video or audio greeting cards sent by email, digital magazines or periodicals, individual digital photographs, data processing and information services, video or electronic games, digital newspapers, chat room discussions or weblogs, and satellite radio services. Some of those are going to be taxed with regular sales tax laws, some not, but they are just wanting to make a note here that they are not considered by law specified digital products that are going to be subject to that special flat local rate. An example here of some electronically transferred items that would be otherwise subject to sales tax. Certain electronically transferred and accessed products are subject to sales tax, as I mentioned, under other provisions of our sales tax law, but are not considered specified digital products. For example, here, a few examples are video programming services, computer software that's electronically transferred to purchasers, and sales by hotel or motel of pay-per-view movies and pay-per-use electronic games that are subject to tax as amusements. So here's an example of a taxable sale of a specified digital product. Sales of movies, songs, or books that are downloaded and may be stored indefinitely on a purchaser's computer or other electronic device, a mobile device, and may be accessed or played an unlimited number of times. This is an example of sales with rights of permanent use, and that those sales would be taxable as sales of specified digital products. All right, another example here of a taxable sale of a specified digital product. We've got a taxpayer sells rights to customized recorded messages for phone systems. Those would be the users to customers or users. Rights to the recorded messages are sold to users for a contractual period, and that may be extended if a user continues payment. These services are sold with rights of what we would consider less than permanent use, but are still taxable as specified digital products. So again, the previous slide, we had an example of permanent use. Here we've got an example of less than permanent use. Regardless, it's a taxable specified digital product. So digital codes, this is something that's getting really popular now. Digital codes for specified digital products. Digital code is one that can be obtained in a tangible form, such as a card or through an email, and it provides a purchaser or user with a right to obtain one or more specified digital products. So sales of digital codes for obtaining access to or downloads of specified digital products are subject to sales tax at the time of the sale of the digital code, and no additional tax is due when the purchaser or subscriber enters the code or accesses to get the actual product. This is a little bit different than the way sales tax is treated for gift cards. Whereas there's no sales tax on a gift card, but when you go spend that gift card, that's when sales tax is charged. With digital codes, it is different. The sales tax is charged when the digital code is sold to the purchaser. And as long as it's for a digital code for one of these specified digital products, audiovisual or audio or a book, it's taxed with that special rate as a specified digital product. All right, so here's an example of a digital code for specified digital product. Customer visits a band's website and notices that the band has released a new album. The band's website does not have the capacity to allow the customer to download the album, but it sells a download code where the customer can purchase the code and then go visit a different website, enter that code, and download the album. So sales tax here as a specified digital product will apply to the purchase of the downloaded code, not when that customer goes and visits the other website to download the album, but when the band sells the code. It's taxed as a specified digital product at that point. Okay, so sales and use tax exemptions for digital equivalents. The retail sale of specified digital product is exempt from sales tax if the retail sale of its equivalent product in a tangible form would be exempt from sales and use tax. We're going to talk about some examples of that now. So printed textbooks or workbooks. There is an exemption for printed, if there's an exemption for printed textbooks and workbooks, that exemption would apply to the electronically transferred equivalent that would be defined as a digital book. There's an exemption for sales of master sound recordings on tapes or discs sold by recording studios. The digital equivalent of that, so if that master was electronically transferred, there'd be an exemption from sales tax there. That's another way to look at that, would be almost like a sale for resale, because that master is going to get resold later. So an exemption for sales of master commercials, likewise, or other programming on videotapes or film that would be sold by studios or television studios. If it was transferred electronically, it would still be exempt from sales tax. So specified digital products that are sold for further broadcast in general, so that kind of applies to the master sound and master video recordings we just talked about. But if it's going to be sold for further broadcast or distribution or licensing in general by a provider, video programming, that's going to be considered a sale for resale. And with a exemption, resales exemption certificate, it would be exempt from sales tax as well. So just a note here, video programming services are subject to tax pursuant to TCA 676226 and include cable and wireless television programming services and similar television programming video services provided through public wireline facilities. See lots of questions coming into the chat here. That's great. And we'll be wrapping this up here in about probably 10 minutes and hopefully be able to get around to most of your questions if they're not already addressed in this presentation part. So another exemption is going to be products that are distributed free of charge. So specified digital products that are provided free of charge with rights of less than permanent use are exempt from sales and use tax. Example here would be a seller allows prospective customers to access and play a portion of a song or video that's available for sale in a tangible form on CD or DVD. That free temporary access to play the music or video is exempt from sales and use tax. And of course, then the note there would be if it's sold with rights of less than permanent use. So there's an industrial machinery exemption here, lots of industrial machinery exemptions. You can find more information about that on our website, but just to highlight the specified digital product aspect of industrial machinery here, there are specific statutory exemptions for specified digital products, including here the definition of industrial machinery includes machinery and equipment that is necessary to and used primarily to convert tangible personal property into a specified digital product. It also includes repair services, repair parts, and installation labor for the machinery and equipment. So there we're talking about converting machinery used to convert tangible personal property into a specified digital product. There's an exemption there. However, machinery and equipment that's used for storage or distribution of specified digital products are excluded from this tax exemption. So now we're going to talk about filing for specified digital products. In general, of course, you all are hopefully aware that filing of sales tax is required electronically and can be done through our TNTAP website, which is at tn.gov/revenue, and then you would click on TNTAP. Actually, this little image here of our home screen has changed a little bit in the last week because we have different sliders there. Hopefully, if we have time, show you what it looks like now. But at any rate, by going to tn.gov/revenue, you can find that TNTAP tile and click on there. On TNTAP, you can register, file, and pay for all of your tax accounts. This is a really cool feature here, the second bullet down, schedule payments in advance. A lot of people are not aware that you can do that on TNTAP. You can file the return early if you've got it all together and want to file it early but don't want to pay for the period until it's due. You can schedule that payment. On TNTAP, there are automatic correction of common errors. You can amend returns, access returns, certificates. If you've got a sales tax account, you can access your resale certificate there, and also see all of the letters that and correspondence that the Department of Revenue sends to you. So if you don't have a TNTAP account and you have a business in Tennessee, you want to have access to all of your accounts, even if you hire a third party to file those returns for you. We want to recommend that all business owners, or if you have a tax account, that you have access to TNTAP. We're going to go through some details here about how to file and for these specified digital products on the return. So I've got a screenshot here of what Schedule B looks like on TINTAP. This is not a screenshot of the paper return, but of course on line 1 of the main return, you're going to include the sales of the specified digital products along with all of your other sales. And then on Schedule B, that's where there's going to be a computation of the local sales and use tax. So on line 6 here, I've got it circled. That's where you're going to enter the taxable sales of specified digital products that are local to that special flat 2.5 rate, and then are not, and this is along with other qualified local tax deductions amounts that are not on line 4 and 5. So line 6 there is kind of a blanket, all other deductions. That's where these specified digital products are going to be entered. So continued here, for Schedule C, the state single article tax and special, getting tongue-tied, special rates on energy, water, and specified digital products. I want to make a note here. When you see that Schedule C on your return on TINTAP, you've got two options there, yes and no. You have to enter or choose yes or no for any returns that we have, whether business tax, sales tax, F&E, any of the returns, you have to choose yes or no there for any of the schedules or any of the questions, or else it's actually not going to, your return's not going to be processed. It's going to kind of error out. If you were ever curious about what a schedule contains and just want to see, you could click yes, even if you didn't have any specified, in this example, any specified digital products or state single article or so on and so forth. If you just wanted to see what the schedule has in it, this would be the same for if you wanted to claim any exemptions anywhere. Just if you wanted to see what those were, you can click yes, and it basically populates all the different options there. But at any rate, if you did have a specified digital product, you would want to click yes here to answer this question, and then the Schedule C will populate. And when it does, on line 11 of the Schedule C, that's where you're going to enter the total sales and purchases for use of specified digital products during that period. And then on line 12 is where the system actually calculates the local tax on the specified digital products, and the system will actually do the math for you there as opposed to the old paper return. So that concludes the presentation portion of today's webinar. Do want to note some resources here, and if we have time at the end of the webinar, like I said, I can take you over to our website to show you specifically some pretty cool spots on our website where you can find some great information. But as Billy mentioned, to reach out to us by email or phone with any account specific questions, or if there's any questions you have that don't get answered today or you need some clarification, email us at revenue.support@tn.gov, or you can call us at 615-253-0600, and we're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 Central. Of course, there's our website, tn.gov/revenue. Lots of great information there. So we're going to go ahead and look into the, let me go keep it on this screen for now, on this slide. Billy and John, y'all have been checking out the chat, I believe, and I see we've not been paying too much attention. I just see that we've got lots of questions in there. Y'all want to get things rolling with answering some of our specific questions that we've gotten?
Yes, we will. Thank you very much, Katie. And you guys have been busy in the chat over there. We've tried to knock out a couple, but holy mackerel. John, you want to be here all day or what? Maybe we should cut this off in just a few minutes. But
yeah, I mean, the questions are going to go way past 10 if so.
Yeah, but I was noticing just, one of the main things that a lot of people seem to be asking about is about, if you're putting together like a training video or some sort of thing like that, for training purposes and that, what do you think? Is that taxable as a digital product, a
Okay.
specified digital product?
Yeah, so I've got the question over here that you're talking about specific training videos that are, either used by
Mhm.
companies. I know a lot of people kind of ask this question, but online training videos that are accessed online or emailed or transferred electronically, those are going to fall under the specified digital products.
Mhm.
You're looking at your audio visual works at that point. You've got it's almost like a motion picture. I mean, even though it's not to the extent of it, similar in nature.
Mhm.
So it is electronic video that is taxable
So
for a specified digital product.
yeah, yeah. So that's good too. So kind of tag teaming with that would be this thing about, the e-books and that. But I know that in Tennessee law, textbooks and workbooks are taxed, or excuse me, not taxed. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, the ebooks, like we talked about a little bit. I know Katie covered ebooks really well. She may refer to it as something a little different, like electronic books. But anybody that's ever had a Kindle or Amazon Prime account or something, you'll see the ebooks, and they're going to charge you that specified digital product tax rate.
Mhm.
But as Billy said, in the state of Tennessee, we have those textbooks for school. Everybody has textbooks and workbooks. I know we've all bought them, paid a big money for them, but if you paying attention to that, they are not taxable for sales tax. And so if you receive that electronically, it also is still not going to be taxable. And Billy, I actually saw something real quick in the chat that I
Mhm.
want to mention based off that last question about training videos.
Mhm.
It was a question about training videos. Um, if the learner receives continuing education credit for it. Um, now, while the class was going on, I looked up and saw that there is a good letter ruling on our website about this. Letter ruling 17 18, and it mentions specifically these online training videos as it relates to continuing education, and those sales are still going to be a specified digital product. So
Okay, yeah, that's a good point too.
yeah.
So
I
you
put a link to
mentioned
that into the chat in case anybody wants to reference
oh,
it.
yeah, thanks,
Oh,
Katie. Appreciate
thank
that.
you, Katie.
Yeah, so letter rulings, just if someone's not familiar with what that whole concept is, we have Tennessee tax law that's passed by our legislature. So we, as the Department of Revenue, are responsible for administering that law and letting you as taxpayers know what that means, right? There's also rules that are set up and approved via an official process that allow us to interpret that. But letter rulings are rulings that private individuals have asked the department to rule on, okay, that are subject to the fact sets that they are set out to be. But what we do as a department is we publish these letter rulings to our website. And of course, we redact the taxpayer information because we cannot disclose who the taxpayers are. But the base information is out there and available for research by anybody, so you can apply that to your own personal situation. So we hope you take advantage of that. One of the participants here, I think I responded back with a link over to our tax guide, and these tax guides are amazing. They have a lot of really good information in them. The sales tax guide has a tremendous discussion about not only specified digital products, but computer software in general, things of that nature. It details a lot of information there too. But of course, as Katie had mentioned early on there, and actually a little bit later in the presentation, you're welcome to send us some special questions that you might have also if we don't address them here today. John, do you have any other ones that you wanted to touch base on here real quick?
Well, I've got a couple more. I did see one in the chat. I know we wanted to stray away from some of the software questions,
Yeah.
but someone asked a question about software specifically relating to specified digital products. So like the websites, we're going to consider, in Tennessee, that's considered software and tangible personal property. So I'm not going to go into that because we covered that quite a bit in the services last month. So watch that video. Um, but in this case, it is not considered specified digital product. The one thing about the specified digital products, it's literally in our name, it's called specified. So if it's not specified in the tax law as a digital product, it's probably going to fall under something else. Um, Now, I think Katie made a good outline about what falls under that. And I know she covered at the very beginning some services and some software, but so websites, software, all that stuff are not going to fall under the specified digital product. So I wanted to clarify that. Um,
Okay. Okay. And I'm going to go off topic here for just a quick second to address another issue that has came up in chat as well, and that's on photography. This is a common question that we get quite often in taxpayer services. So, photography is the transfer of an actual image by tangible personal property. So you think of things, like actual pictures, like in the old days when we actually got pictures and we had to send them off for development and that sort of thing. Those are subject to sales tax, even if you got it on a CD or a DVD, some other type of tangible means, and that's subject to the tax. But if a photographer were to transfer a digital still image to a customer electronically, that's actually not subject to sales tax. The only exception to that is advertising agencies. Advertising agencies are using them for a different manner. So the taxability is different on that. But the digital images to that customer, if it's not tangible, is not subject to Tennessee sales and use tax too. But just remember though, Katie mentioned in her presentation the idea behind digital videos, the successive images, or if you remember that terminology there too. Now that is a specified digital product. Okay. So that's subject to that. So it gets a little hairy, but I thought I'd point that out because you kind of have to know what you're working with in order to really get down and kind of figure out what you're dealing with as far as what's taxable and what's not. Okay. John, what else do you think we should talk about here for a few minutes?
Hey, thanks for covering that, Billy. That was even though that was off topic, there's always a lot of good questions about photography and
Yeah.
pictures. I know that there's a large portion of Tennesseans making pictures and photography, so good question. Thanks for taking the time to answer that one. Um, I saw a question that kind of stuck out to me about the subscriptions to access and hold it or not hold subs access platforms, where you can access digital products like subscription based. Um, so yeah, Katie kind of mentioned this briefly. So uh, even though it's a specified digital product and you may not have like all the rights to it, but if you access it electronically, in this case, yes, you would be falling under the specified digital products if you were
Mhm.
selling that
Yeah, hey,
subscriptions.
John, I'm thinking about like, a lot of people sign up for streaming services for music and
Yeah,
stuff like that, on your smartphones or your tablets or whatever. You pay that price, but the subscribe or the provider rather should be charging this tax on top of that as well, because that's exactly what that is, a subscription to a platform that has digital content. So yeah,
correct.
absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if you got something like Spotify. I know Spotify is one of the big ones you probably know,
Mhm.
especially if you're a music listener or if you listen to podcasts. All that falls under that digital audio, specified digital. So it's all electronically either downloaded or just accessed online. And so that might be a good example to wrap your brain around what it would be.
Mhm. I saw another person in chat today mention, what if there's not a charge? What if I don't charge people for accessing stuff digitally? Do I have to charge sales tax? I don't think so. Do you, John? I would think that free is free, but
Um,
is there some sort of
yeah, I don't think there's a an exception to this. As soon as you mentioned, I was looking up real quick. I don't see anything that pertains to that charging sales tax, even though it's free. If you're letting them access it for free, then well, then that's free.
Yeah,
That's
I think that normally what we do is we look back at the definition of what a sale is in Tennessee Code section 67-6-102 in our definitions section, and you looked at what that is. And I don't know that we could say that there's a sale because there's no money changing hands. But that's sort of unusual because most of the time people aren't going to do things for free. They're doing it for a profit motive, right? I mean, that's
well,
kind of
hey,
how things go. But
that's what caught me off guard on the question. I was like, oh, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I like
Because
free
for a sale
too,
to
but
take place, some kind of monetary has to exchange hands, whether it be monetary or a trade in or
yeah,
something.
and that's the other thing too is there's the word consideration in that definitions section as well for any consideration, and that's not necessarily cash and credit cards and stuff like that. You know, we in Tennessee law we look at weird things like bartering and other other sorts of things that are considered to be consideration. So yeah, but that's way off topic. It has nothing to do with specified digital products, I don't think. So
I did have a question about piped in music, and I guess I didn't understand the context of the piped in music. Um, but if you're asking about selling music or electronically accessing it, well, you're probably paying specified digital product sales tax on it.
mhm.
Um, I'm not exactly for sure. So if you want to clarify that later by going to revenue.support@ten.gov, let them know the exact question you're wanting to know. And I don't want to gloss over it, but um, anytime you're accessing media like that, it's going to be sales taxable for specified digital products. And I think a lot of the other ones are either repeat questions or a lot of
Yeah,
really,
that's
really, 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 really specific to their business without knowing all the facts. And
I wanted to bring everyone's attention. I see a lot of questions about websites, even though I know we just went over that.
mhm.
Share my browser with y'all real quick. Okay. You see my browser? Do y'all see my browser?
yes, I got it.
Okay.
I can see it.
Let me go here. In our sales tax guide, uh, let's see here. Gotta move all these things around. So when you're in a guide, in one of our PDF guides on our website, you just want to click in, do Control F and type in a search term. Websites on page 36. Let's go over to page 36. Here's a great overview of websites and computer software and with regards to sales tax in Tennessee. Again, it's on page 36 of our sales tax guide. Just want to refer you all to that. They're also on the next page. We go into a lot of information about in-house computer software, affiliate software, support services. This is a very good resource for all your questions about software and website related, even though we're not going to dive into that today. As we've said, with trying to focus on the specified digital products, just wanted to show you all that resource and just to let you know how to get over to it. Let me go over to our homepage. From Department of Revenue's homepage, you would click on tax resources, and then all of our manuals are under tax manuals right here. We're in the process of updating them all. The sales tax guide is going to be updated soon. It's going to be bigger and better than it even already is. But just to get to where I just was, you would click on sales tax and then click on the guide just to get more comprehensive information about some of your questions that may have to do with digital products that are not specified, but that you have questions about.
Hey, Katie, real quick before we go, I did see a question that Billy wanted to address. I think he's got some issues getting logged in right now.
Yeah, I see that.
But it was about TV and website commercials. Um, under Rule 113, it says he typed in this for me. Television is normally a non-taxable service. That's for commercials. So just be mindful. Even though TV and website commercials it sounds like it's specified digital products. It's going to fall under a non-taxable service, and that's just Rule 113. That's something Billy typed in.
Great, thank you. I think we've got Billy's coming and going. He's must be having some issues, some internet issues. He was here, now he's gone. Okay. Let's see. I believe there was a question that came in that I didn't get a chance to put into our presentation, that I haven't seen it in the chat today, but it came in as a registration question. I think it's a good one. Our specified digital products, is the single article calculation applied to a specified digital product? John, could you speak to that?
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, Katie. I know we discussed that one the other day prior to the class. I didn't see it typed in today. But specified digital products, it's not going to have the single article. Katie, can you switch back over to the return on a couple of calculations so you can? Okay, well, it's really hard to see right here because I don't think we got the full Schedule C. But if you pulled up the full Schedule C on the website, if you looked at it, you'll see that there's not really a place for specified digital products to go forward with that. So like you can't really take the specified digital products and move it to this single article line. It's you got line 11, which is your single your sales and purchases for specified digital products, and then you just multiply it by the local rate right there, 2.5%. And that's going to give you your special rate, because it's a special rate versus the single article or local option single article.
Right. Would it help for me to bring up just a paper return just to show what you're talking about?
Yeah, if you don't mind, because
Sure.
it's with there just being a couple snips here, it might be hard to see.
All right. Hang tight here. I've got this little WebEx thing gets in the way, and then let's see. I've got the sales tax return pulled up here. So we're talking on Schedule C.
Yeah, and if you might want to zoom in just a little bit, just in case everybody
blow
can
that
see.
up a little, Katie. Thank you.
You're back, Billy.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
Billy.
sorry. I had technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So you'll see right here, if you scroll down to line 11, like this is your single article and your special rates kind of form. So you'll have to put your specified digital product on line 11, and you'll just take that and multiply it by your 2.5%, which is that special rate. And that's not going to fall under the state single article. And so hopefully that cleared that up for you, Katie. And whoever asked that question, that was a good question.
Yep, when we were talking the other day, we had to look it up ourselves just to make sure. Well, we're getting low on time here. Gonna go back over to PowerPoint so we have our screen here with our information. If you didn't have your question answered during today's presentation, we've mentioned this a few different times, please reach out to us via phone or send us an email here. I just wanted to show you guys one more place on our website where you can find lots of information. If your question didn't get answered today and it's not in our guide, or you can't find anywhere else on our website, a great place to go when you're on Revenue's homepage, click on Revenue Help here. My internet's going slow now too. Spinning. Oh, we just got a question come in from Sean. How often do I need to file? So filing for sales tax, when you have a sales tax account, filing is set up automatically for monthly filing. We did have a bill passed this year and went into law just this past summer that if you have on average less than $1,000 per month in revenue, Billy, John, correct me if I'm wrong, then you can reach out to the department and request to switch to being a quarterly filer. While we're discussing that, I'm just going to show everybody how to get over to revenue help because I got distracted. I saw the question. But
I'm
revenue
gonna
help,
default that question back to Billy. He is more of a taxpayer
okay.
services answer on that.
With us still, Billy? He's coming and going. Pretty sure about that. It was a law that passed. Let me go over to our legal resources from our homepage. Legislative summaries, just about quarterly filing. I believe it's 1,000 or less per month. Quarterly filing allows dealers with an average sales and use tax liability of $1,000 a month or less over 12 consecutive months to file a quarterly return. So if that does apply to you and you wanted to file quarterly, reach out to us. But other than that, sales tax accounts are required, are set up for monthly filing. They're due on the 15th of the month following the previous month's reporting period. So I squirreled out there, but I was showing y'all revenue help. Search button here, search field here, search any term, whether it's regarding TIN-TAP or a specific tax account type. You'll most likely find the answer to most of your questions here in revenue help. Just wanted to show you guys that. I'm sorry, yes, it is the 20th. Michelle just reached out. It's due on the 20th. I had business tax in my head, 15th. Getting lots of comments to that. I wish we could rewind and erase what I just said. The sales tax return is due on the 20th. Yes. Okay. Let me stop sharing my computer screen here. As we're wrapping things up here, I also wanted to let you guys know that next month's webinar that will be on the last Tuesday of the month as well will be on filling out the sales tax return. So since we got a lot of questions about that today, I hope you all will register for that one. We should have the link up to be able to register for next month's webinar on filling out a sales tax return. We should have that link up later today, definitely by tomorrow. So please go and register for that one. I think that'll be a really great webinar, especially each webinar we have about sales tax, we get lots of questions about filling out the return. So it's going to give us an opportunity to address a lot of that. Also, just wanted to mention to you all, thank you for coming today, and you're going to get a survey when you leave the event. It's a very quick survey. If you could just take a minute to fill that out, let us know how your experience was with today's webinar and if there's anything we can do to help make things better. And just want to thank you all for being here. John, thank you. Billy, thanks for all y'all's help.
Yes, Katie, did we mention next week's or next
yes.
Presentation already? I'm sorry, I'm still having my technical issues, so I apologize.
Covered fill out the survey, covered next month's webinars or anything else.
Okay.
I think that just about covers it. Oh, someone's saying, how can we get a copy of this? We will have a copy of this recording on our website, probably no later than the end of the day tomorrow. And just as we're leaving, switch back over to my web browser. Just to remind you guys, you already had to navigate over to this page to be able to register for today's webinar, but from our homepage, you go down to Taxpayer Education and click on Tax Webinars. This is where at the top, the link for the upcoming webinar is always going to be. And at the bottom of the page here, Webinar Video Library, you'll be able to access today's webinar by clicking on the Sales and Use Tax arrow. You can see all the other ones we have here, but today's webinar will be uploaded to that location by tomorrow. Oops, got a reminder coming up here. All right, well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for this month. And again, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you last Tuesday of October for our next webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.